This video is just for the fashion nerds. Everyone else can go. We're here to do a deep dive into the dresses from the 1954 film Sabrina. I just want to state up front, I am not a fashion historian. I am an amateur fashion enthusiast. And if there's something big that I'm missing or a way that this information is understood that I'm not getting, let me know. I'm just researching for my own pleasure and fun. The story goes like this. Producers of Sabrina told Audrey Hepburn to go to Paris to get real French couture for the film Sabrina. They said if she claimed that it was for her personal wardrobe, then they wouldn't have to pay duty or give credit to Hubert de Givenchy. This was the first meeting between Audrey Hepburn and Givenchy, a partnership that would go on to flourish for decades. Givenchy was busy working on his collection. He said, you can try on a few things. The story goes that she went there, she tried on a few things, she took them home. These are the 3 outfits that appear in Sabrina that are generally credited to Givenchy. This story is told in this book, and also in Audrey Hepburn in Paris. However, legendary film designer Edith Head won an Oscar for the costume design of this film, and she never gave Hubert de Givenchy any credit. People say that she stole his designs, but she claims that she designed this black dress, and there's evidence that she created other dresses as well. Okay, this is Edith Head's side of the story from this book, which is great. This is coming from one of Edith Head's mentees, a costume designer named Dolia, who wrote his own memoirs and did the research apparently to back this up. He's also spoke to the LA Times about this specific dress, if you want to look at that article. Edith told me that Audrey Hepburn bought one black suit from Givenchy, and that is what she wears in the scene at the train station. No other clothes were borrowed. No other clothes left his atelier. No other clothes went through customs because if they had, an exorbitant tariff would have to be paid on them because they had come from a designer collection. Audrey couldn't afford it, and Paramount wouldn't pay for it, so none of the clothes came from Paris except that one suit, and Edith couldn't get out of that and let her wear it after talking to Wilder. The question I'm asking for each of these looks is, were they designed by Givenchy, and were they made by Givenchy? And when I say made by Givenchy, I mean made by his ateliers in his fashion house. So, first piece, the suit. We can reasonably assume that this suit is where the story comes from, that she went shopping and brought back clothes from Paris. So let's assume that this was made by Givenchy and designed by Givenchy. Moving on to the white dress. This is where things get tricky. Now, I had a really hard time trying to find images of this dress as part of Givenchy's collection. However, another creator, who I have a link below, made a video about that 1953 collection, and I saw an image of a model wearing the dress. So we can assume, based on that it was designed by Givenchy. However, based on the evidence that we have, this dress was not made by Givenchy ateliers. The dress was found in the collection of Debbie Reynolds. She was a huge collector of Hollywood memorabilia. It went up for auction after Debbie Reynolds' death. In the dress, they found not a Givenchy label, but a Paramount label, which shows that it was made by the studio. There's also other indicators that it is not a couture piece and it was built like a costume. The dress had never been returned to Givenchy, which it surely would have been had the lore been true of Hepburn borrowing it from his collection. The embroidery that was used on the dress is machine embroidery that was bought by the yard. Usually in couture collections, the designer creates the pattern and it is embroidered on the marked fabric to meet exact measurements taken during the first fitting. Maybe she wore the real couture on the film and this was a duplicate. We don't know. Based on the evidence that we have, it seems that this dress was not made by Givenchy or Givenchy ateliers. Finally, we have the black dress. This is the dress that Edith Head has taken the most ownership over and seems to show the most pride over. She feels like she was wrong because the public generally credits this to Givenchy, and she feels like she created it. The other 2 dresses, she doesn't talk about that much. This one is the one that she is stuck on. This dress was recreated by lots of different people. It sparked a huge trend. But in this book, again, Dolia says that Givenchy only provided partial ideas and the neckline was already being used by Christian Dior prior to the making of Sabrina. Edith made the dress based on Audrey's sketch from an idea by Givenchy. The original concept had the neckline straight across in the front and in the back. There were no bows or anything on it. The waistline on the left had a half peplum that was ugly. It is entirely different than what was made. Edith cut the back of the dress into a V shape and added the round rhinestone pave buttons to the back and bows to the shoulders. That was the dress that was seen in the film. D'Orléans tells his story again in his interview with the LA Times. In a conversation he had with Edith from the 70s, he says he found the original muslin dress that had been initially fitted to Audrey Hepburn in Edith Head's possession. Now with the black dress, if I could get my hands on this book, I could check the 1953 collection and see if I could see what the initial design was. Is there a dress in that collection that looks similar enough to this, that has the peplum? But I can't buy an €80 book to check one dress, okay? I can't even afford to get a haircut right now. So if anyone has that book and wants to check it out, let me know. That's the piece of this research that I just can't find online. Everything in 1953 is so associated with Audrey Hepburn in this movie, I can't find anything outside of her wearing these dresses. Edith had also purchased this dress to take with her on a retrospective of her work. Again, if it was really a Givenchy piece, I think probably the house would have asked for it back for their archives. Was it designed by Givenchy? It seems like it was inspired by a design by Givenchy, but all the elements that make it special, like the bows and the buttons and the back, are claimed by Edith Head. However, Edith is famous for stealing other people's sketches, so it's hard to say for sure. I haven't been able to find anything about this dress going up for auction or anyone knowing where this dress is now. But again, based on the fact that Edith was able to purchase it from Paramount, not from Givenchy, it wasn't returned from the archives, and the fact that she had the original muslin that was fitted to Audrey Hepburn in her possession, I think it's safe to say that this dress was made by Edith Head and her costume department at Paramount, not by Givenchy Ateliers. The conclusion that I've come to doing all this research is kind of a Poirot answer, but I think it comes down to the difference between the point of view of a designer versus a costume designer. I think that Givenchy should have been given credit for his contributions. He clearly designed this dress and the suit, and he provided sketches, and so those are his designs, because a designer is always trying to push the envelope, come up with a new idea. The idea is everything. However, a costume designer is trying to recreate a mood and tell a story. So I feel like costume designers are looking to other inspiration all the time. So I think Edith Head saw these sketches as a jumping off point. She actually made the dresses. Maybe she added her own flourishes to this and saw it just as a jumping off point. So I think in her mind, she's saying, I built the dresses. I added my own touch to these designs. It's my costume design.